Has never stopped, has always challenged conventional wisdom, but always been reflective of his decisions and willing to make positive changes for all Californians. He has been the governor of this state. He has been a mayor of one of our major cities where he saw crime firsthand, where he reached out and tried to do something unique. Tried to have a simple curfew placed on parolees. He saw that most of the people that were being murdered were either being murdered by parolees or they were parolees. And so it made sense to him to limit their activity at night. And the department that oversees these individuals said it couldn't be done. This is a man who says, "Watch me." He is now our chief law enforcement officer of the state, and on behalf of the Crime Victims United, and in recognition of your work on DNA cold hits and support of CTE, it is my pleasure to introduce our Attorney General, Mr. Jerry Brown.
Thank you very much. As I was listening to you say you were born in Sacramento, I was born in San Francisco, but my great-grandfather used to drive the stagecoach from Hangtown to Sacramento back in the 1850s. So we've been out here a long time. Unfortunately, we still got the same problems, only a little worse. And we got to do something about it. In terms of DNA, the DNA laboratory is working down the backlog. We're working on cold hits. But the tragedy is there are so many fresh murders and rapes that a lot of local officials can't find the time to go after these cold hits. So we have to get the money, we need the will, we need the technology to make sure that people who commit crime, where we've got the evidence, that we actually arrest them and convict them and send them to the prison where they belong. So that's a challenge that we want to meet, and I take this award here as a challenge to get this thing done. And I think it was important when Harriet talked about, talked about the idea of how many people are getting murdered. 10,000 since 2003, that's more Americans that are getting killed in Baghdad. In many ways, it's more dangerous in certain parts of this state. Thousands of people are getting killed every year. And we can't get used to that. And we got to deal with it. And we deal with it in a lot of different ways. And we need more police. We need to deal with corrections and make sure that organization actually corrects. Remember, this is not just incapacitate. It's supposed to correct. But when 70% come back after being released, there's no correction. So this is another big challenge. And we got to work together. And my final point here is what rises converges. And so victims and heroes, Republicans and Democrats, all of us together, we've got to rise above our little interests, and we got to think of how we can converge to make this a safer state. And that's the big challenge. We got to work together, not based on party, not based on ego, but based on caring, clarity, and the kind of forcefulness that's going to be required to get through the bureaucracy and the kind of business as usual and just kind of getting used to it. You can never get used to people whose pictures are there. Those victims are real people. There's new victims today and tomorrow and the day after that. So we can't get used to this 2,000 murders a year. And it's going to take all of us. It's not just one politician or 20. It's the people, it's the elected officials, it's the correctional officials, it's the police, the DAs. It is going to take quite a lot. But I have the hope that the spirit that brings crime victims together will be the spirit that will allow us to confront this very difficult problem. So thanks for the plaque. I don't take it as any kind of award. I take it as a challenge to do more and to never rest until this state is truly safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney General Brown. Our next recipient is a gentleman who normally you wouldn't think of when you think of crime victims as insurance commissioner. But Steve Poizner has shown incredible knowledge and concern for crime victims. He's even visited various victims groups and toured prisons to see firsthand victims' suffering and plight. He's been working hard on insurance fraud and making sure that victims are not taken advantage of during times of pain. And since he has been elected, he has been giving regular updates to victims on behalf of the cause. Accepting today, on behalf of Mr. Poizner, this award is Mr. Jim Richardson, who is Chief Deputy Insurance Commissioner. Unfortunately, Mr. Poizner is in Southern California. So please welcome Mr. Jim Richardson.
As Lance mentioned, the commissioner's in Southern California today, for which he met. When the commissioner first became aware of Crime Victims United, he immediately had a profound respect for this organization.